And how you got welcome back to part two. Now we're going to be going through the draft. Hope everyone's doing well today as the Vikings hold the first overall pick. We're going to be checking out who they are going to be drafting or what positional groups they really should be considering. At this moment in time, I thought they were going to be taking either an offensive lineman or, something that could really overall day one really make an impact. At this moment in time in the draft, I was considering trading up for Jay Conley, but I didn't want to trade up in the top 5. So the first pick was Nate Whitehead, wide receiver. Kind of a surprising pick, and for me at least, because I did not expect the Vikings to be drafting a wide receiver, at least first overall after last year drafting Justin Jefferson. As the Bengals take Peters at corner, really surprise pick there. Dennis Brown going third to Washington football team. The Dolphins drafted Derek Ambrose, getting a top-tier pass rusher. And there he is, Jay Conley going 5th overall to New York Jets. So the Jets are going to be now giving up on Sam Darnold. Darnold is out. Jay Conley is in. So now my mindset at this moment in time was kind of changing. I was thinking more pass rusher or offensive lineman to really kind of solidify this team. But, as I was looking through, Jimmy and Blake are still on my radar. Now I'm kind of more considering taking one of them in the second round if one is available. But Luther Glass is still there. He's a prospect that I was still very excited about to draft. As the Cardinals select Jeff Altman, the fast wide receiver. Very surprise pick there, but helps that team out. Philly drafted Rob Allen, a big-time tight end. And then Bowman, the defensive tackle, going to Jacksonville. Drew Westbrook going to Miami. Butler going to the Lions. And at this moment in time, Nate Waters was my number one prospect. Gerald Wilson was another guy I was considering at this moment in time, but I didn't think to trading up was the best idea for us. We didn't have a ton of draft capital, and overall, I just kind of felt that at 18, we'll just get the best player available. As Wilson went to the Titans, Wolf went to the Patriots, and we are now on the clock. And now with Wilson off the board, I sat there and I was like, we could draft Jimmy or Blake, but I thought we could get them in the second round. So I'm not going to be drafting a quarterback right here. And yeah, I was not going to be drafting Gabe Mims, the fast running back. I just didn't see really a point in drafting a running back 18th overall at this moment in time with this roster. And so we decided to go with, and with the 18th pick in our draft class, I was debating still about taking a middle linebacker, but at this moment in time, I said, you know what? Nate Waters, 6'7" out of Auburn. He's our guy. We're taking him. 73 overall, hidden dev, 8th in true talent, all around a very good player. He looks like a prospect that you could take in any direction you want. He has solid speed, great strength. He could play in zone coverage. He can play pass rusher. He could play really any position that I feel in the front 7. And this, for me, was a home run draft pick by us. Continuing on with the first round, we see some solid prospects here. Boss going to the Bills was kind of a bust. Seeing a lot of solid players going to each team. This draft class, in my opinion, was a very good class to really get any positional group other than corner and safety. I mean, I think I talked about it throughout the whole year. I didn't expect there to be a top tier cornerback or safety. I just felt that we needed to go into a different direction in that case. So how do you help the secondary? You get a good pass rush. As we're, I believe, entering into the second round here, as right now, a lot of good solid players going, and Miami right now is having a very solid draft class. It's a team that I really didn't I didn't focus in on a lot during the live stream. Same with the Cardinals. They both had two fantastic draft classes. As Gabe Mims going in the second round to the Detroit Lions, the fast running back. So now here in the second round, I really kind of had to consider, do I draft a quarterback? Both Jimmy and Blake are there, and I kind of felt that they were the two quarterbacks that I could draft, develop them for a season, and then move off of Matt Ryan. So when I was making this decision, I really kind of just looked at, well, one has early second round, one has mid second round. So I didn't really know the difference between their overalls and if one could potentially have hidden depth. But after really highly considering it, we decided to go with Blake Rivers. 70 overall, hidden development, more of a field general, strong arm archetype at quarterback. Very excited for Blake to be on this roster. 90 throw power, very good short accuracy to start off with. He's not going to beat you with his legs. He doesn't have the best speed. But overall, I think he can, day one, he will be a solid backup. And then we'll move him into the starting role. He's a great developmental prospect, and I'm excited for Blake. So now entering the third round, I was really wondering, where will Jimmy go? And will we be able to go get George Duncan? Duncan was really my next player that I was really considering here in the third round with our third round pick, as we see Jimmy Rivers going to the Minnesota Vikings. Kind of doing the same approach that we are doing, but just now drafting Jimmy in the third round. So both of them a 70 overall. Very still happy that we got the quarterback that, we got. At this moment in time, I was in the third round. I just didn't feel it was necessary for us to trade up. So we just kind of continued on looking at some very good players getting off the board. A lot of solid defensive tackles, good front seven players. But entering into this pick, I do see George Duncan on the board. And immediately, that's kind of my first thought. Now, I was tempted by these running backs right here. But Duncan was, for me, fill the need at center and replace Alex Mack. So he went with George Duncan, 74 overall, top 10 prospect coming out of this draft class. Normal dead, though. Can't win them all, that's okay. 23 years old, good strength, good all around in every single blocking category. We'll develop him, and he will be a very good starting center for us day one. And that's my expectation for him, to be the starting center. Now, after this draft pick, I really kind of considered what should be our next move. We hit on pass rusher, we got our quarterback of the future, now we got our center for at least day one. So, sitting back, after trading, getting another extra fourth round pick, looking at this board, we have still plenty of prospects that I actually really like. But, we needed, my next kind of priority was to get a pass rusher, was to get offensive weapons. We need to get offensive weapons and future talent that can take this team to the next level. And that was overall what we're going to do, and I was determined to do that. I knew we couldn't get a solid corner or safety day one, so just get some weapons, put it around Julio, Matt Ryan, and Calvin Ridley. So then those two don't have to do everything in the passing game. And don't forget, we did not bring back Todd Gurley. So we really did need to consider drafting a running back next. And, as we're just going to continue looking through these picks, just going through, looking at some very good talented defensive tackles going off the board. There really wasn't any other standouts at quarterback. Now, here in the 4th round, this is kind of where things, for me, I was like, Deion Starks is here, 6'4", mid-first talent, 21 years old. He just intrigued me too much not to draft him. And we did 73 overall, hidden dev, a big power back with some elusive ability, very good strength with speed, some change of direction. Not the best hands coming out day one, but this kid, I feel, at least this up and coming year, he can be our power back and number 2 running back. I still wanted to find in free agency a veteran that can come in and play, but Deion, I think he's going to come out there and be a very good player for us. Now, with our 2nd, 4th pick, we traded away Russ to get this draft pick. I was considering kicker, considering safety. Is there any guys that I was going to take? And, overall, I really just didn't think that there was right now any value of drafting them. Stephen Collins was probably my favorite out of all of them, even though he's much more a developmental option. And then there's Al Reed, the undrafted prospect, 20 years old, pass coverage archetype. Considered him here too. Some good pass rushers too, but I didn't really think we needed to draft another pass rusher. They were all very good. I just didn't expect us to draft a pass rusher. There wasn't a tight end. At this moment in time, I was considering maybe we should trade this pick away. And I wanted to trade. So what I wanted to do was trade back with a team like, Buffalo, try to get a 5th and a 6th round pick, try to accumulate more draft picks I settled on a 4th and a 5th, seeing if this could work. I didn't really know. I didn't really want to put too much time and effort into this. I don't want to give up more capital for a future pick. So, I looked at these trade offers. I really didn't like any of them. Most of them were future 4s and a 5th this year. I wanted to get draft capital for this year because I felt that this has a very good deep draft class. Decided not to go in that direction. At this moment in time, I decided to go with Al Reed here. 20 years old, 63 overall, but hidden development. Hitting on that was so key with this pick. Coming out with 88 speed, solid tackling, solid zone coverage to start out with. He's an excellent prospect for the future. And that's kind of where the direction that I decided to take this team. After the first 3 picks, I decided that, we needed to draft good players that we can grow and develop for future years. And Al Reed, I felt, could do that immediately. As Hoffman, a running back, surprisingly went to the Cardinals, a player that I didn't even scout. Very surprised that he was actually that good. Now here in the 5th round, yet again, sticking with that trend of wanting good talent on this roster, I started to debate and consider multiple kind of options here. Yes, there was Tucker on the board. I did like Tucker, but I felt that was too cheesy to draft Tucker at this pick. And let's not forget this. We didn't bring back a lot of a lot of good young players like Greg Ward. We didn't bring in any other running backs. So, and obviously there's no good corners. Stephen Collins, Brian Johnson, the last two solid safeties. I was considering one of them, but the only reason I like Collins a little better than Johnson was because I know he has B- zone coverage, and that at least tells me he can play coverage. So here in the 5th round, I decided to go with Parrish Colombo. At 6 foot, 20 years old, number 1 speed, 69 overall, hidden development. I just felt day 1 he could play in the slot, develop him, 98 speed, not the best route runner, but we'll work on that. He's another prospect a lot like Larrbearxd that we can just grow and develop, and in due time he will become a top tier wide receiver. He doesn't have to be that day 1, but he will hopefully develop because of his age, and hopefully that development is good. If we hit it, even if it's just star dev, we're good. As we're getting closer and closer to our next pick in the 5th round. And at this moment in time, I could go in a lot of different directions. I could draft Collins. There wasn't really a linebacker, not really a D tackle, no more pass rushers that I liked. And, yes, Luther Glass was still on the board. But if you know me, out of all these players, Nick King intrigued me the most. Hidden dev, 69 overall fullback. Very excited to bring him in. Didn't expect him to be hidden dev. He has good lead blocking, solid strength. He is a little injury prone, which does concern me, but I think he's going to be, well, for starters, he will be our number 1 fullback. Let's not forget this. Smith last year scored 5 times for us, so I like my fullback in my offensive scheme. So I felt that Nick King would be able to provide that for this offense. Moving ahead, as we see Luther Glass going into the late 6th round to the 49ers. So we could have drafted Luther, decided not to go in his direction. Looking at this board, yes, we could have drafted Tucker. As I said earlier, I just could not cheese this system and draft 2 running backs in the top 2. So I decided to let Tucker go. And, overall, we decided to go with Stephen Collins, 65 overall. A little bit of a reach, but 72 zone coverage, 91 speed. I felt another good prospect for us for the future. From the 4th round to the 6th round, as I said earlier, I wanted prospects and players that can help this team, not now, but the next year. So we wrapped up the draft because that was our last pick. As we see here, we got a lot of good, solid talent, a lot of good players to really overall help this roster. Nate Waters, very excited to see what he can do in his first year with us. I think he's going to be, and he will be playing defensive end in our system. He's not going to be playing outside linebacker. And we're just going to kind of just develop him as a pass rusher. And I felt that that was the best spot for him. I know we could potentially play him in coverage, but I didn't know if he was going to hold up. For Blake Rivers, overall, my expectation for him going into this year was, hey, just, sit and develop. Duncan, day 1 starter. Deion Starks will get a role immediately. Don't know how many touches he will get, but the more, probably the better for him. Larrbearxd, he's going to play special teams for us. Very excited to see what he can do. Colombo here, he is going to play in our slot, and he's going to be our speedy deep threat. King and Collins will. So King here, he will be also a starter. We're going to move off of Smith, and Collins, he's actually going to be moving to free safety. As let's go check out some of the top tier prospects. And the number one player in this draft class was Jake Conley, drafted 6 overall. Hidden dev, 21 years old, good throw power, accuracies all across the board, very good. You know what? He would have been worth it to trade up for because he's athletic enough, and you can kind of put him in any direction that you want accuracy-wise. But like I said, I just didn't feel comfortable trading. So one thing I wanted to start to do after each year is change my playbook. So this year we're going to, so instead of using Kyle Shanahan's playbook, we will be using the Super Bowl champions Anthony Lynn's playbook to hopefully just bring some variations to the team. And yeah, I felt it was a good decision to just make a little bit of a change. As looking at the roster after the draft class, I did make moves after the offseason, bringing in players like Wayne Gallman, Patrick Peterson, Ray McLeod, Logan Thomas, Trey Hopkins, Mike Remmers, Xavier Rhodes, just to kind of fill out the overall depth of this team. And that is the first offseason here for the Atlanta Falcons franchise rebuild. I hope you guys enjoyed part 2 with the draft and last episode with free agency. Please leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. It really does help me out. Have a great day.